In this video, I'm going to describe how to use the HTML component in a Flex application and call JavaScript-based functionality that's hosted in a web page inside the HTML browser. You'll be calling this functionality from your Flex ActionScript code, emulating the JavaScript language. For this demonstration, I'll use two files: an MXML application file named scriptbridging.mxml. If you're following along in the exercises, open that file now in Flex Builder. And then a web page file named webpagewithjs.html. Right-click or Control-click on the Mac on this file in the Flex Navigator view and select Open with Text Editor. If you double-click on the file, you'll probably end up opening it in the web browser editor instead and seeing the page rendered instead of seeing its source code. The webpagewithjs file contains a couple of simple functions: a sayHello function that contains the window.alert method to pop up a message from the JavaScript environment, and a setNameValue function that receives a value argument, gets a reference to an input control, and sets that control's value. Down below there's a heading 1 tag set with a simple string, a very simple web page, an input control whose click event calls the sayHello function, a small data entry form, another input control, and another button. Go back to the script bridging application and run it. Then click into the URL text input control and type in the name of the HTML page, webpagewithjs.html. Because you're loading this file from the local hard disk, you do not need an HTTP prefix or any other directory information. The HTML file is in the same output folder as your compiled application. Click the Go button, and you should see your local web page loaded right away. Now, click the Say Hello button, and you should see this JavaScript pop-up window displaying the string Hello from JavaScript. Click OK. Then click the Fill Value button, and you should see a string of my name entered into the text input control. Both of these functions are being executed through JavaScript calls. Now I'm going to show you how to make these same calls from your ActionScript environment. Close the application and return to Flex Builder. In order to make JavaScript calls to the web browser environment, you reference a property of the HTML component named DOM_window. This property references the document object that's at the root of your entire HTML environment in the web browser. So for example, if you wanted to call the standard window.alert function that's a part of JavaScript, but you wanted to execute it from within your ActionScript environment, the syntax would look like this. You'd start off with the ID of your web browser object, which I've called web, and then reference its DOM_window property. Notice it's spelled with an uppercase W in the middle. Then call whatever method you want to. So for instance, if I wanted to pop up a window directly and pass in a simple string, I could call the alert method, type in a string. I'll put in a string of hello from Flex. This function is already being called upon the click event of the first button down here labeled Call JavaScript. I'll save the changes, run the application. Once again, I'll type in the name of the file I want to view, webpagewithjs.html, click the Go button. Now I'll click the Flex Call JavaScript button, and you'll see the exact same behavior, a native pop-up window displayed by the JavaScript environment. Click OK to clear the window, and then close the application. You can also make calls to custom JavaScript functions. For instance, in this page that we're loading, there's a function named sayHello that calls the alert method. So I'll go back to the Flex application, scriptbridging.mxml. I'll locate the callJS function method, and I'll put in this code, web.domwindow.sayHello. Both JavaScript and ActionScript are case-sensitive environments, so you must make sure to spell the names in your method calls exactly the same as they're spelled in the web page. I'll save my changes and run the application. Once again, I'll load the page, webpagewithjs.html, and click Go. That loads the page. Now I'll call the JavaScript function that's hosted by the page, and you'll see once again that the pop-up window is displayed. I'll click OK to clear the window and close the application. The web page also has a function called setNameValue. It's getting a reference to an element by its ID, name input, and setting its value. This is the equivalent in JavaScript of setting the text property of a text input control. In order to call this method, I'm going to have to pass in a value. So I'll go back to the call.js function method, add a line of code above the current call, and now I'm going to call the method within the JavaScript code, which as you'll remember is named setNameValue, using the same syntax as before, web.domWindow.setNameValue, and now I'll pass in my name, David. I'll save the changes and run the application. Once again, load the page, click the Go button. Now I'll click the Call JavaScript Function button, and you'll see that in the background, my name has been filled in the browser-hosted text control. So those are the basics of script bridging going between ActionScript and JavaScript. There are some limitations here. For instance, you can't call the getElementById function directly from your ActionScript code because you don't have the ability to get a direct reference to objects within the web page. But you can make most things happen that you might want by calling functions either that are built into the web environment or custom functions that you've added to the page yourself.